All right, everybody. Here we are again with another episode of That One Bond Guy Meets, and it is my honor, I'm honored to be able to bring on one of my newer friends here, Ryan from James Bond Aficionado. Thank you so much for joining today, and I look forward to getting to know you, my friend.
Thank you, Chris. It's a real honor as well. I can't be any more thankful to talk with you today. So thank you.
Well, first order of business, how I want to know the story of that picture behind you. How did you get a hold of all of those signatures and all of the pictures? That is so cool to me. Like that's one of my goals is to
Uh,
eventually put something together like that.
that's the one question I get a lot, and it is one of my hobbies. First off, is autograph collecting. Uh, well, let's try to break this down for you. First off, I have a friend up here in Portland, Oregon, that runs a memorabilia shop, and he goes to premieres, airports, hotels, you name it. And some of them, we have 6 current James Bonds. He got the Daniel Craig, if I remember correctly, at a premiere. So I bought that off him. I bought the George off him because at the time, I've always been wondering, well, there's not that many signings or anything like that here on the West Coast that offer James Bond stars or actors or actresses. Well, until I found out, oh, there's the Hollywood show down in Los Angeles that brings in Barbara Carrera from Never Say Never Again, Jill St. John sometimes, Lana Wood, and stuff like that. And George Lazenby, I didn't know. Well, I knew George resided in California sometimes, but he got the George there, so I bought the George off him.
Nice.
And then the Pierce I bought off him as well. I didn't know I can't remember where he got the Pierce from. But the rest of the pieces I actually bought off of eBay because they gave me tips to look for what is actually authentic. And so I tracked down the Sean Connery that was only $350 and it's authenticated. The Roger Moore I bought offline as well. It was probably a year after he passed. I was like, I need a Roger, so I tracked down the Roger. Timothy Dalton was the hardest. That took me about a year and a half, unfortunately, because for one, Timothy Dalton does not sign anything Bond related, really.
Oh wow!
And I was lucky that this one was actually already authenticated, and I didn't want to take a chance of, hey, if this isn't authentic, I don't want it. And especially when all the rest of them are authenticated and guaranteed authentic. And if down the road I need the money, I'll have to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on eBay, and one day I was at my friend's shop, and we were just browsing, and it's like, this pops up. I was like, wow. And it's actually signed by Carrie Lowell that played Pam Bouvier as well. So I messaged the guy saying, hey, what's the lowest you'd go? And he said, unfortunately, I'm not budging at the price I paid. And it's like, well, you know what? I'll pay for it. And I asked him the standard questions like I do for any project by researching. And he said, oh, he got Pam's or why am I drawing a blank on her name right now, even though I just said it? Carrie Lowell. Yeah. She said that she got it at a premiere that Carrie was at, and she signed it then. And
nice.
Tim was at a premiere as well, so that he was attending. So it worked out in his favor at the time, and then of course down the road I snag it from him. So hey, it worked out good for me. It finished that off, and you know, it was about to actually be on Pawn Stars.
Oh wow.
But they didn't consider me as a finalist, unfortunately, because
Oh,
I think I was asking too much for it. So
uh,
it is what it is. But that's the story of that. So
oh, that's super cool. How'd you get the frame for it?
my friends from the memorabilia shop, they have a custom framer that does
Oh,
it.
nice.
So he's the one that did it, and we were discussing that as well on how I wanted to go about it. If I wanted to do, the traditional gun barrel with 007 in it, with the pistol in it, or just 007. And I said, what, let's just do 007.
I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, I'm that's something I really want to invest in is eventually get all of the autographs, get the frame for it. So, I mean, if you're willing to share some of the information on how you got the stuff, the shop and whatnot, I'd love to look into it.
Absolutely, Chris. Just we'll talk. I gave you my personal number, so I will be glad to work with you. And you know what? I don't know if my friend's shop has any left, but I know last time I was actually in the city before I had my back surgery, and the last time I visited their shop, they had some Daniel Craig's
Okay, nice.
that were available. So, if need be, I can just pick you one up.
That would be amazing, and I'd pay you back definitely. But I just wanted to talk about too how
Yeah.
this is super exciting for me because you are the first, bond page and friend that I have that is actually also on the same area I'm from. We're both on the West Coast, and we have to endure some of the problems on being on the West Coast. Sometimes not having too much Bond stuff related to us. I mean, we still have locations like San Francisco for View to a Kill. We have Las Vegas, for Diamonds Are Forever. But I mean, a lot of the stuff and a lot of the pages we see are on the East Coast, and like Joe Darlington and David Zaritsky, those guys are all on the East Coast. And then, of course, if you go even more east, that's where obviously London is and everything's at. So I'm just so thankful that I was able to find and connect with you because now we have that similarity.
Oh, absolutely, my friend. I can't agree any more with that. And like you said, yeah, we only have San Francisco and Las Vegas, and I go to Vegas frequently, but I haven't made it down to San Francisco yet. The farthest I've gone is L.A., and that's only to be at the airport, and that was only for the get off for a brief
Uh,
sec, and then standard layovers for trips and such.
yeah,
But I haven't really traveled much besides going to Vegas frequently and such. So hopefully one of these days maybe we can collaborate our schedules and we can just hey,
I would
let's go
absolutely love.
let's go to San Francisco together, let's meet up there or meet up in Las Vegas. Like, I know you're one of the younger generations,
Yeah,
but the thing is, you can still partake in the events in Las Vegas. Like, we can go to the mortuary that was Slumber Incorporated. We
mm,
can go to the Tropicana. We can go. Well, a lot of the hotels aren't. Some of them aren't standing that are still standing from when Diamonds Are Forever was shot. But we can still stand there.
yeah,
Circus is still open,
yep,
where Tiffany was trying to get the diamonds, and
yep.
there's a lot we could do in that city. So, and if you're ever interested,
I would love it.
I would be glad to show you around because I've been enough. And I will give Harris Thomas, dressing like Bond, a shout out. I did not actually know where the mortuary was for years until I think one of his last trips. I think it was a business trip that he was doing in Las Vegas. He stopped by and I commented saying, "Wow, I did not know that was that close." And I was getting ready to leave for Las Vegas, and it's like, "Yeah, it's that close. You should go by." And it's like, well, unfortunately, I didn't have the time. So,
Uh, yeah, no, I mean, I I knew. I mean, shout out to him again when he did his San Francisco trip. I knew somewhat of the area because it looked familiar. Fisherman's Grotto and Fisherman's Wharf. because I've been there many times, but I didn't know the exact pier to walk out on that Roger Moore walked out on. And his video really, and his post helped really narrow it down. And that's why you saw my latest post literally on the same. It's kind of cool. I walked the steps of Roger Moore and then I walked the steps of Harris Thomas at the same time, which was pretty cool. I even had the same trash can in the background.
Well, absolutely. And I know Harris is a big influence to you, and so is David Zaritsky of the Bond experience. So I'm glad you're actually able to follow the footsteps of some of the people that really influence you. So, and I should say Roger Moore as well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And I that's the one thing I love about the Bond community. You could be just starting up like myself, be young like myself, but they're still accepting. I mean, everyone's so willing to give out information, and I it's so amazing because I was doing one of these episodes with Mr. Jay Sadowski, and we were the concept. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the topic of the glasses popped up, and he was all like, "Oh, I have an extra pair." Um, I think I might be sending that pair to California right after the interview, and I was in complete and utter shock. Like I had no idea he was going to do something like that, and he sent them in a matter of like a week. They came, and I've been wearing them ever since. And it's little things like that, that bring us all together, whether from the East Coast or West Coast, is one of my favorite aspects of this whole community because it's centered around James Bond, but it's a whole life thing, and it's meeting new people from far and wide, and it's something that I really love and I really enjoy.
well, you asked if I've seen it, and yes, I will agree. I had not stumbled on your page until you and Carmine from Montreal with Love. Um, Shout out to him. We're doing a little live thing over Instagram, and then when I saw that you were interviewing Carmine because he reshared it, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check your page out, and I listened to all of the interviews on YouTube, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous because first off, you've gotten Jay Sadowski. I absolutely have the utmost respect for David Zaritsky. Well, you haven't done David yet, but I know I can see you probably getting David on one of these days.
Hope so. Fingers crossed.
Bond experience right there. Joe Darlington had a section of being James Bond. He is one of the most kindest guys. I haven't talked with him over an interview yet. Hopefully one of these days he'll let me. But I have the utmost respect for him as well, and Calvin Dyson is on my list as well. I would love to talk with Calvin.
Yeah.
There's so many people, like you said. This community is so big, but it's so small because everybody has respect for one another. And from what I heard from your conversation with Peter Brooker yesterday, Peter said there was one person that that was bashing others, and they started they didn't put him to shame, but they didn't also announce who it was. Well, I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because that would have ruined it for me, I think.
Yeah, and I think I agree with Peter when they said there's the one person who was completely making a whole fuss about something, but the their whole attitude and their whole personality kind of died away real quick. Like the whole community itself didn't put enough energy to talk about it or bring people up, because they truly believe in just the authentic fun. It's all about at the end of the day, it's about a franchise and something we all enjoy, right? So I mean, there's no need for negativity. I mean, obviously it's fun, and we get into different arguments here and there, and things that should have happened or things that shouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, we all respect each other, and we all understand that it's all for fun. So
Absolutely,
super cool.
Absolutely, 100% accurate right there. I like Joe's one of Joe's reviews. He's not a fan of License to Kill, but honestly, I think that's personally Timothy Dalton's best. And because I like the darker edge Bond films, and that was the darkest at that time. But Joe and I were going at it for just a brief, but saying I absolutely disagree with you, and but the thing is, that's part of the community. Right. Yeah, you're going to disagree with each other on certain aspects, but in all retrospect, we all share the same passion and love of James Bond.
Right. So. And yeah, so that kind of leads me to my first question here. What are your first beginnings with James Bond? How did you get into it?
Oh, that's a good question, Chris. I remember getting involved, of course, like most people my age, GoldenEye N64. It was the hottest thing out in 1997. Mm-hmm. It was right when, of course, Pierce's Tomorrow Never Dies was coming out. But, the thing is, I was 7 or 8. I couldn't go to the movie to see it. Right. So I played GoldenEye N64 at home, sitting around the TV with my brother and some of the neighbors, and playing the split screen multiplayer action, and just ganging up on each other in there and doing the single player with cheat codes, and getting frustrated. And then eventually, you had to do a certain amount to unlock the Moonraker mission and the Egyptian mission that was from The Spy Who Loved Me. But that also had the tie-in with Baron Samedi, that you had to kill him with the man with the golden gun at the end of it. So I remember doing that, and then, I remember a family member asking, what's this game are you guys playing? And it's like, oh, it's GoldenEye N64, James Bond 007. And they told me, there's movies about this. And I was like, no, there's not. And it's like, yeah, there is. And it's like, there's a whole series. So I remember, I think it was my mother or father taking us down to the local video store back when, video stores were so popular to go to.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Picking up a VHS copy of Thunderball to start off with. So Thunderball was the first movie I remember fully seeing. And then going to current times, GoldenEye was the next movie. And that's when I really got the bug, was watching GoldenEye, because it was based off the video game, and, trying to recreate the exact moment during playing the video game, doing the same motions. But, I remember that. And then, after that, it was watching Live and Let Die. So that's a little brief breakdown on how I got introduced. So, yeah, it's pretty much GoldenEye N64 like the rest of my generation. So,
I mean, yeah, and obviously for me, it would probably be the Daniel Craig era, because that's right when everything started. But, my story, I started with the Kingsman franchise. That's the introduction of my whole spy British gentleman thing, and from that came out in 2014, I believe, and I just got instantly hooked because of the style. I've always loved dressing up. I mean, my family said it's because I have my grandfather's genes, where he dressed in a suit every day, and he always liked looking nice. And so I've always loved the idea of dressing up, looking good, and then the idea with pairing that with being a gentleman spy, just for me, it was perfect. And when I watched Kingsman in the movie theater, I was just like, this is insane. With all the gadgets and all that, I was instantly hooked. And then my parents were like, have you ever seen a James Bond movie? Because that's basically what the Kingsman is. It's like a spin-off version. And I'm like, no, I've never seen it. And they said, well, look up James Bond on Google and go from there. So I did, and I saw the list of all the movies. And I love starting things from the beginning. I don't like jumping into things right in the middle, because I don't want to get confused on something. So I remember in my room, and I watched Dr. No for the first time ever, and I was instantly hooked. From all the cars that are seen in Jamaica and through all the different scenes, all the because I'm a classic car guy. I was just hooked. And then I watched the next one, and then the next one, the next one, and then eventually I don't know if you've heard of Dimple Records. I don't know if you have heard of. It's just like Blockbuster, but kind of like privately owned a little bit. They have different stores here and there, but they just recently closed. Probably the same reasons for Blockbuster and stuff, but they had all the old classic 007 films on VHS, DVD, and they had music and everything. And when they were having their closing sale, I was like, I want to go in and see if I can get all the DVDs. Well, they had the Blu-ray collection of all 24 movies. And I was like, that originally like $150. I got it for like 75. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get that. So from that point on, watching that movie, watching all of them in Blu-ray, that it was like a whole new experience for me because it was clear. It was and I got to watch it over again as many times as I wanted. And that's basically where it all started. I mean, like I said with the Kingsman thing, I started collecting uh, different props and different clothing items and trying to copy their style. And then I was able to apply that to James Bond. And then now I was like, maybe I should start an Instagram. Maybe I should. The YouTube thing is as of recent. This is literally the first series that I'm doing. And so I just thought, maybe I should branch out a little bit. And here we are.
Well, and if you've read the cover for to Kingsman, it says something about James Bond. This is more like extreme than James Bond or something like that. Or I can't remember. I have it over here.
It's like this is James Bond on laughing gas or something like
that. And so, Kingsman is definitely a great start for someone your age. I absolutely agree. And especially, when the Daniel Craig films have been hit, miss, and hopefully No Time to Die will be a hit. But coming back to you starting off from the beginning with Dr. No. Dr. No is a great way to start, and especially when it holds so well to current times that we're in. Like I personally love Dr. No. I know many people don't, but Dr. No is one of the greatest of the series, and especially when it got the franchise started off in 1962, if I remember correctly. So I think you definitely took the right route by starting off with Kingsman and then, going into Dr. No from the beginning and watching From Russia with Love and such. So I think you did it the right way, my friend.
Thank you. And right now I'm in the stage of still learning the minute details. I mean, I have pretty much the whole broad overview of this whole franchise down. But now I want to dig in deeper and I want to get into the books. I have obviously Casino Royale that I'm almost done reading. I have Goldfinger. I have For Your Eyes Only. Then I want to get the ones that aren't made by Fleming too, like Forever and a Day by Horowitz. Seems like a really cool novel. I read the first chapter at bookstore the other day, and it was really cool. I want to get, like I said, collection. I love to have a collection, but right now I just want to bring to the table, some new knowledge and like a different view. And I know I'm still young and I'm still new at this, but this is why I'm doing this series as well, is to get to know people that I can connect with and talk to and just learn more about James Bond. And yeah.
First off, age is just a number. It's like the 007 number. It's just a number. And I hate going political, but people shouldn't be bashing Lashana Lynch if she's 007. So it's part of a new era. Eventually, I bet the next Bond or even Daniel Craig will get his 007 title back by No Time to Die, of course.
Yeah.
So it's just a number. Don't put your age out there. You may be young, yes, but you still have learned so much in your brief little time that you've had by watching the movies. And to be honest with you, I have not actually read any of the books. I started just straight with the movies, and I stuck with the movies. And with Google out there and the reviews that Calvin Dyson has done on the books has broke it down enough for me to know what the book has said. So I use Calvin on my literary resource to know what I've expected from any of the books, because he just breaks it down so well. And Joe Darlington as well, he breaks down things so well. They're great sources out there. And then for you're wanting to do the sartorial aspect. You got Peter Brooker out there. You got Harris Thomas. You got David Zaritsky. You got Matt Spazer. There are so many good sources out there for you. So you're definitely following the right way, my friend. So keep it up.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So
I just want to bring kind of my own spin on the aspect in the community, and then again, of course, get to know everybody just for the fun part about it, and then eventually get to go to events, or I want to host events myself, and you being on the same side of the world as I am, maybe you and I can collab and host an event ourselves,
Oh, absolutely. And I would be honored to. And I know you really wanted to make it out there for Operation Gather All, and I did too, but unfortunately my back surgery delayed me on that, because I was waiting for that, and I've been out of work, unfortunately, but I do have a little bit of income coming in. But I was looking, the flights were just so high out of Portland.
I'm blessed enough to be able to fly standby for free, basically, because my father works for the airlines, and we're able to I just literally have to pay, I think, the country tax or whatever going to London, so it's like $200 or something. But other than that, the benefits is that we don't have to pay for airfare, which is really cool because I can go to certain events. It's just getting the hotel, and then obviously it's not like I can rent a car yet, so I have to take Uber everywhere as of right now. So
Yeah.
it's certain things, and on top of that, I'm trying to save for the big thing, the big event, if you will, for myself, and that's going to London to study abroad for a month in May to June. So I have that to look forward to, and I've been working like crazy to save up money. I've been started a GoFundMe thing, and people have been helping, and it's been really great. And I don't want to jeopardize my trip in any way by doing something and then I'll lose out some money. So I'm just kind of been focusing on that one trip, because not only am I going for educational purposes, but I'm going because I want to see all the Bond locations, maybe meet up with Mr. Peter Brooker and go look at some different stores over there, and just have a whole month of just being in London,
Well, and you're doing the right thing. I can't say that enough. You're doing the right thing. So save for your trip to London, because you got to focus on your studies. Right. Now is the time. You do not want to fall into that deep place. So, where you don't know down the road, are you sure this is what I want to do? Or, really? Well, then you're working, flipping burgers or somewhere, but, or you're going to stick at working at Starbucks like you're doing now. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, I mean, and then as soon as I come back, I'll still have a couple months of summer, and from that point on, it's free game. I want to look into some Bond things. I want to like some props I want to get, or some clothing I want to get. But on top of that, I want to plan events. Like summer's the perfect time in along the West Coast to have movie nights underneath the stars. I have a canopy and a project box that I love to host, to put a Facebook event thing out there and have like a Bond movie night every other weekend or something like that, with popcorn and whatnot. So absolutely. I want to host something like that, and just get to know community members or people that love James Bond around me. And then even if the guys from like everyone, like David Zaritsky or in their area, want to come over, they're more than welcome. It'll be a free event. I mean, free food, and watching James Bond under the stars. It's still in the works. But I mean,
well, how about this? I'll make you a deal.
All right.
When you get back, we'll go up to San Francisco.
That sounds.
And we'll go to do some location scouting. Like, yeah, I would love to just fly down to San Francisco and finally see everything.
That'd be perfect.
So, what's planned for that?
Okay, that sounds great.
So,
all right. So, let's see. What is your? We kind of talked about this a little bit before, but what is your history? Or not, sorry, not history. What is your favorite aspect of the Bond community? In your opinion?
Honestly, I love how everybody is pretty much like a family.
Right.
It feels like, I will say this: Eon started as a family. Cubby, Broccoli, and the Broccolis, and Harry Saltzman and the Saltzman family. That's how it feels like with this community. We're just a big family, and everybody wants to do something to help one another, and you're always learning something new, and it's always bringing us closer. Like, I didn't think I was gonna get to know someone like, for instance, you, because there's not many Bond fans on our side of the coast. But out of the blue, we're like, oh, hey, you're in Sacramento, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
So
Right.
from there, we can collaborate events now on the West Coast, and hopefully start getting people from the West Coast to start coming, and hopefully we can get some big names from the East Coast to join us. So I love the family aspect. I am already part of one of those family aspects with some of my Vegas groups, and I meet up with them in Vegas. So
nice. And I mean, hey, I only have a couple more years till I'm able to have a pint or few over here. So just give it a couple more years, and we'll be able to go and not have to worry about anything. So look forward to.
Oh, absolutely. We could have a good old pint or a martini down in Vegas or somewhere in California, or even wherever.
Right, exactly. I know, and that's another kind of sidetrack, but that's another thing I want to learn too is the drinking aspect of it. I just recently got the Shaken book from Ian Fleming, and like he collab, and it just outlines a bunch of different books, either from or drinks rather, from the movies or from the books, and tells you how to make the different cocktails and stuff. And I want to be able to have that knowledge so I can invite people over to my home and be like, hey, do you want a Tom Collins, or hey, do you want a martini or something like that? That'd be cool, I even started my own glassware collection. I have a little shaker, and I make mocktails to practice right now. So that's a little side hobby on top of a hobby that I have. So that's the great thing about the James Bond franchises. There's different hobbies within the hobby,
Yeah, and I saw your mocktail the other day that you made at work on your Instagram page, calling it the Golden Eye, and I was like, I might have to come down now, and I might actually have to knock on your door at Starbucks and say, hey, Chris, make me a Golden Eye, because I'm kind of I would love to taste it. It's
pretty popular, man. I've gotten so many PMs, and all my co-workers are trying to learn how to make it, and it's not that it takes a minute, but it's not too long, and it's just basically lemonade and the dragon fruit on top, so it's not too incredibly difficult. So who knows, it may be a new drink, and I think
add a little vodka to it on
there you go. I think it'd be kind of cool if Starbucks collab with 007 with the new movie coming up, making a Frappuccino called Goldfinger or something, or like the Spectre Frappuccino, making it black and white or gray. I have so many cool ideas, but we'll try to say anything.
I absolutely understand that. If Starbucks did, and especially Starbucks is global now,
right?
So
yeah,
we'll see.
Well, my friend, I just want to say again, thank you so much for spending this half hour with me, hanging out.
Absolutely.
And I honestly, I think you and I are going to become close because of the fact that we are living in the same general area. So if you ever want to do a collab video on your end, or if you need me to do something with you, you have my contact information anytime. As long as it works with my busy schedule, I'll be willing to make it happen. And again, I thank you so much for being on the show.
Hey, absolutely, Chris. It was a real honor. I can't thank you enough for being part of today. So it was a real honor on my end as well. So thank you.
Of course, my pleasure was all mine. And everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Please follow my friend here, James Bond Aficionado, on Instagram. Any other places? Are you thinking about expanding at all?
Yeah, I'm actually on Facebook as well. I'm on Facebook, Instagram right now is my main source, but it is all my content does link to my Facebook. So
awesome.
Eventually I think I will stick with that. I don't think, well, and I do have the YouTube page, but it is slowly going.
Yeah.
I do have an interview that I did with Bonanza, who created my new logo, which if you haven't seen, I know you have personally, but if the viewers haven't, it looks really good. So check out Bonanza's work on his Instagram page. And then he also does a little bit of a production narrative page called Chemical Kiss. So www.chemicalkiss.com. I would recommend checking that out as well.
Definitely. And everybody, I will definitely list Brian's Instagram and Facebook in the description below. So just go scroll down and it'll be right there. And yeah, and Brian, if you're willing to send me over your logo, I'd love to make it the thumbnail of the video so people could see it as well. So
absolutely, Chris, I can definitely do that for you.
awesome. Well, again, it was great talking to you, and I look forward to the future, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris.
You have a great rest of your day, my friend.
You too.
Bye-bye.